morning, all of you. We have seen, you have attended the last 2 days classes, right? Yes. So at least you'll have some kind of basic idea of whatever we have discussed. So as I said, listening is very easy. Remembering or understanding things are very difficult. So all I want you to do is take a white paper or a notes or whatever, okay, and try to think of these questions. Just think, if you have attended the last 2 classes, or as suggested, if you have read yesterday's newspaper. If you don't know a single point in this entire sheet, it's totally fine. If you know, that is fantastic. If you have read it in the newspaper, if you can recollect it, that is even better, right? Don't write the question, just the answer, because questions get updated, right? It's a time waste. First 10, next we will discuss that next 10. Okay, so first go for the first 10. What is euthanasia? What is albedo effect? What is data localization? First 10, just to the first 10. We'll discuss the next 10 after this. So if you have attended the classes, these are the points we have discussed, and these are from yesterday's and day before yesterday's Hindu. Every point we have touched briefly. Seventh question you can answer, what is the question? What about the rest? Over. See, online people, if you don't interact, I cannot read your minds unless I'm Professor X from X-Men series. I cannot read your minds, right? You have to open up, you have to talk, you have to let me know where you stand. Yesterday I discussed the data localization topic for around 20-25 minutes. So in spite of that, if you don't know what is data localization, maybe you thought you understood, but you didn't. In the last 2 questions, what is the difference between migrant and a refugee? Okay. Yes. Yeah. How many out of 10? 9 questions. Which one you haven't? What is euthanasia? In the paper chadavara? In the paper lo unda? Gurtu leda? Undachchu. Lavanya? Done all 10? All 10? How many you attempted? 6. Oh. 4 you haven't? Which 4? First one. 8th one? Sixth one? And?
I'm not sure about second one.
You are not sure about second one. So now the revelation, right? So where did these questions come from? These questions came from this article. Okay. So this was the article I told you is very important. So what the very first thing is, he says about anthropogenic forces are human induced. So I told you, right? Anthro means human. Cosine is this human induced climate change. Okay. Next. So there is a concept called as albedo. Okay, so I think they are the next 10 questions, right? Next, who gave that report? IPCC report. Intergovernment panel for climate change. I told you that sixth question, right? Who gave that report? I did mention explicitly yesterday. If you remember the diagram, we are moving towards 1.1. 1.5 itself is disaster. 2 is Hollywood movie. I told you, right? So,
how can I make the CM example 6 degree? Something you said, no, sir. I didn't read that question properly.
IPCC, right? Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. What is albedo effect? Albedo effect means the reflection of the sunlight. Okay, that effect is sunlight. Sorry, that is albedo effect. What do you mean by data localization? Storing data or locating the servers within the geographical boundary of that particular region is data localization. Fourth one, all of you must have remembered. Osaka track. Okay, so it is about Osaka track. Now, what is the fifth question? Again, if you have read this article, here she clearly writes one paragraph, like permafrost thawing of Arctic. Okay, is releasing carbon and methane. So I told you, right? Already ice is covered, it is releasing more ice. Okay. Next, viruses will be released. That is one more threat. Diseases and viruses might come back. So like this, see, reading is one thing. Next day recollection is a whole different thing. When we listen everything, when I say or when you read, it feels like I know this. Why can't I know this much? Okay. But the problem comes in recollection. Okay. Anthropocene we have covered. Now the difficult questions. See, if you don't know what is albedo effect, it's geography concept. You are supposed to know, but it's fine. Euthanasia, you don't know. Localization, you don't know. And technical definition of migrant and refugee, I haven't discussed, but you can guess commonsensically what is migrant, what is or who is refugee. And this question, 10th question, how do you know? In yesterday's Hindu, there is an editorial. Okay, so first we will start with euthanasia. Okay, euthanasia is assisted suicide. Okay, euthanasia means assisted suicide. In India, there is no active euthanasia, it is only passive euthanasia. Say, haven't discussed, but it is there in the paper, right? At least you should keep an eye on what are the ethical things. See, this comes under GS paper 4. Okay. In GS paper 4, there is a concept. See, if somebody is terminally ill, that means he is very sick. He cannot move. He is totally dependent on medicines. His everyday survival is a threat. Then he can request the government, please allow me to die. Okay. So, allow me to die means I cannot tolerate this pain and there is no cure for me. Even if you keep me alive for next 20 years also, this disease is not going to get better. Okay, so that is euthanasia. It is available in different Western countries. In Western countries, they say it's okay to die if you have terminally ill diseases. Okay, but India says, our Indian Supreme Court said nothing doing, we won't allow euthanasia because India is a poor country. Some auto driver or some poor person will go and say, I cannot take care of my mother. She's 85 years old. She's paralysis patient, something. Please allow her to die. Okay. More cases will come. So euthanasia is assisted suicide. Okay. Legally assisted suicide. In India, we have passive euthanasia. That means it should be really rarest of the rare case. And the medical board should say, yes, this person does not have any future whatsoever. Only then it is allowed. Okay. So in this particular case, that person wants to travel to a different country to take the help of assisted suicide. Okay, so at least knowing the meaning is the dot. Next time if you see euthanasia, you should be able to recollect it is about assisted suicide. It is there in ethics paper, applied ethics. Okay, it also comes under GS paper 2, that is polity, law. Yes, because constitution says no man should be deprived of his life except through legal means. Yes or no? That is right to life and liberty. So that is one thing from euthanasia. See, all these things, all the questions came from newspapers only. Then where is that editorial? In the editorial, there is a very clear line which says India has respected and followed the UN convention, but India is not a signatory. So if you are unable to recollect, that means you didn't knew that where you have to substantiate. See, I told you on the day one, right? Editorials means arguing through empirical data. How will a newspaper criticize the government? The newspaper is criticizing the government, saying it is not a signatory. You are not a signatory, but we are following it. Okay, that means I am following it in letter and spirit without legal obligation. That shows India's goodness. Okay, so that is one thing. So what is sixth question? Who gave IPCC report? I said it in a flow. Maybe you miss it the attention, or it's totally fine if you don't know. It is not printed. Second is also there in this particular article. You are supposed to know. In this article, he clearly defines what is albedo effect, what is lapse rate, everything. Next, the last one is the difference between migrant and a refugee. Technically speaking, a migrant can be an internal migrant and external migrant, right? Somebody coming to a different part of the land or different country, either through legal means or illegal means. Legal migrants can be there, illegal migrants will also be there. See, you are taking a tourist visa and going to USA for work permit or something. You are a migrant, right? Okay, but if you stay beyond visa, then you are an illegal migrant. Or you can cross the Mexican border and enter into USA, then also you are an illegal migrant. Okay, migrant, legal and illegal. Refugee is someone who is escaping war, life, persecution, or circumstances. Okay, climate refugees, disaster refugees. That means your entire village has been swept away by floods. Okay, you are moving to the next district or next state or next country. You are a climate refugee. Climate, because of climate, you are a refugee. You are a refugee of war. Okay, so refugees are people who are escaping something. They are not going to a different country by choice. They are being forced. Migrant is a choice. Okay, as a migrant, I have a choice. I am looking for a better opportunity. Why am I going to USA for a better job? Okay, what about refugees? Bangladesh refugees. Okay, 1971 war, they were forced to come to India, or else if they stayed in Bangladesh or East Pakistan, they would have been killed. Okay, Myanmar, Rohingyas. Rohingyas are also refugees. They are not coming to India for tourist destination, but because of life threat. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so did you recollect? If you have recollected all the 10 points, then you are doing fantastically well. If you don't know, that's totally fine. Again, as I said, this is a class of learning, not a class of judgment. I don't judge you by not knowing, or you don't even know this. No, that is not the point. The point is to make you see the importance of newspaper and how many topics are there. Okay, and this topic covers GS paper 4. Okay, this is GS paper 1. This is GS paper 2 and 3. Like this, every day, all the 4 GS papers are covered directly or indirectly. All we need to do is understand the concepts. So when you one day read environment and biodiversity chapter, that day you already know what is Anthropocene or what is climate change. Your understanding will be even quicker. Okay. One topic I haven't said is what is globalization. Okay. This is important for your GS paper 3 and society point of view. Okay. And essays also. What is globalization?
Understanding in local culture, they adapt to the according to the local cultural taste. You can take the example of KFC. According to the tastes of the local, they will make.
See, globalization plus localization is localization. Global plus local is local. Okay. See, that means if you go to Burger King or McD anywhere in the world, it is supposed to be like same, right? Standardized. Coca-Cola is standardized. Okay, throughout the world, it will taste same, it will look same, it will feel same. That is the target. But if you come to India, okay, there is a season called as Navaratri season, where people don't eat onion and garlic. Okay, during that period, I cannot sell my same burger. I have to adapt it to the local conditions. Okay, so then that is first time where McDonald's have introduced this make aloo tikki burger. That means aloo tikki, all of you know, like that is a street side chat, and burger, all of you know. So he's mixing burger plus aloo tikki, make aloo tikki. So the company was forced to adapt to Indian taste. So McDonald's, KFC sells lemon rice, biryani. KFC sells biryani now. Okay, why? Local people are used to eat biryani. I am a KFC company, right? I have my own product and they have their own taste. So I need to fuse. So forcing companies to adapt to local preferences is globalization. That is a phenomenon that clearly shows that any society needs to adapt. Sorry, any company needs to adapt to the local needs. Only then they will survive. Okay, outrightly you cannot bring the Western model and say it will work in India. That is called as globalization. It is an important concept in GS paper 3 economy, because without globalization, companies won't survive. Okay. So here paneer makhani burger or any kind of food items. Okay, all these concepts are globalization. Global plus local. Burger is a global food. Paneer makhani is a local food. Yes. So again, see, this is just one understanding on how things work. We don't know how knowledge will come. Let knowledge come from all sides, right? Knowledge will keep on coming. So this is an article from yesterday's newspaper. If you have missed this article, you need to understand, as I told you, evolving issues. What are evolving issues? The other day, a local court judge has criticized a woman for wearing a provocative dress. So he is blaming the victim. That is institutionalization of patriarchy. See, patriarchy itself is an institution. You need to understand the term institution. Institution means it has been set into a system. It is a systemic thinking. People will start thinking in patriarchal lines. I don't even know I'm a part of patriarchy. I will follow patriarchy. What is patriarchy? Male domination or male superiority. So if a son is born and brought up in a patriarchal family, the sister is always treated as a second-class citizen. Okay, he doesn't think that it's a bad thing. He will grow up thinking it's okay to treat women as a second-class citizen, right? This particular judge probably is a part of such patriarchal system where his mind thinks, it is the woman who should be blamed for this sexual harassment case, right? And here one more term is woke society. Woke. What is woke? See, it's a new millennial term that, like, people who are born after 2000s are called as millennials, right? Okay, millennium changed, millennials. So they use this term for updating the society's morality. Woke means wake up, enlighten, kind of enlighten. Okay, so let's say I don't know, I didn't knew that I was a part of patriarchy. I made a very common statement against women very casually. Then people will come and give me lecture on social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Then that society is woke. Woke means enlightened, awake. Okay, so Kerala have a lot of demography, youth, lot of youngsters are there. Okay, so recently what happened in Kerala, there is a steel bench in the bus stop. So three people were sitting, two girls and one boy or something. Someone like they were sitting side by side. So then this right-wing groups will be there, right? Who wanted to have some morality. Okay, we need to understand the term morality here. Morality means, what is the meaning of the word moral?
Right. Culture.
Morality means judging something as good and bad. See, if I say something is good, that is moral or moral according to me. Okay, you are wearing such a kind of dress. Morally, I agree. You are wearing a skirt or something. Morally, I disagree. So morals can be for individuals. Morals can be there for society. Morals can be there for constitution. Okay, if constitution says something is good, that is constitutional morality. If constitution says something is bad, that is constitutional morality again. So according to constitution, this is good, this is bad. According to society, this is good, this is bad. According to individual, this is good, this is bad. So here a particular group can have a morals, right? Culture, based on culture, a group can have a morals. So in Indian society, men and women are separate. You should not mingle freely. Okay, then all the three college students were sitting on one bench. The next day morning, they broke the bench. They broke the steel bench saying, you should sit separately. You should not sit side by side. This happened in 2022 May or July, 1 month ago. Then what did how did the Kerala youth respond? The Kerala youth responded by laptop. Laptop movement. That means they sat on the lap of the male friend. Okay, there is only one bench, right? The male friend sat on the bench and the girl sat on his lap, saying we are friends. We don't attach this, traditional norm of, not holding hands or all those things. Okay, so that is a oak reply to a very old thought process. So India is a country of paradoxes, right? And on the one side we are very sanskari, on the other side we are very oak. Like we have both the things. Who is to decide what is good, what is bad? See, there are cases where men can take advantage of a female friend, right? See, she is friendly. I can take advantage of her. I misuse, rape might happen, or some immoral acts might happen. Then at the same time, they can be genuine friends. But if you treat everybody with the same lens, you are actually forcing people to think in a opposite direction. And if you go to a teenager and say, don't do this, they will exactly do that. Okay, there is a way to explain them. Okay, you can be very friendly with anyone, but you need to maintain some lines, boundaries. And that lesson should be taught to both men and women, right? Not only women. You should not only restrict women, you should tell men also or boys also, you should behave well, something. But these kind of discussions don't happen. So this happens in Kerala. Okay, in such a society, when the judge says something, automatically there will be a lot of repercussions. Okay. And that is also wrong, right? And the problem here is, when a judge says something, it is not about the judge, it is about the judiciary itself. It is as good as saying the judiciary has said that it is a problem of the woman. Okay, so now here individual society moralities are crashing with individual moralities. That not constitution. See, constitution clearly says whatever you want to do, you can do. Constitution is very clear. Interpretation of constitution is wrong. It is a fault of the judge, right? Now Kerala High Court has to come and say, no, that is a very wrong on the part of the judge. Okay. Every article will give you a lot of opportunity to think about the society. It is up to us whether we are seeing them. And second thing, are you in a position to understand all these things? If 5 days down the line, if I ask you constitutional morality, again, if you scratch your head, I mean, hypothetically, then it's not your fault. First of all, you need to learn what is constitution, morality, layer by layer by layer, you progress. Okay, next. India has always, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, we will discuss all these things. We will go to the next 10 questions, right, for understanding sake. Bit difficult, but again from newspapers. Done? All 10?
6 again.
6 again. Lucky number. Which ones you don't know?
11. Non-refoulement.
11th one you don't know. Okay.
20.
20 also you don't know. It's there in yesterday's newspaper. You didn't notice? No problem. 14, 15. The rest all you know. So what is the answer for 17? Okay, 18. 17 is yes, right? It is directly from this article.
Increase. I missed that information.
It is there in the article, right? The lapse rate at which
Drops.
temperature drops with the elevation decrease. Okay. So that is what I said in the day one class, right? Reading newspaper is an art. Everybody is an artist. Okay. At the same time, it's not your fault. Why? You don't know geography. You haven't completed. You haven't even started NCERT, right? So if you know NCERT geography, that is when you appreciate newspaper. Now my theory is proved, right? Like if you know the basics, reading newspaper is a cakewalk. But if you don't know the basics, it becomes very difficult. So that is why don't worry about understanding everything in the newspaper. I will tell you as time progresses, you will progress. Okay. The other line is also directly from newspaper. Sea ice and snow have high albedo, direct as it is. Then Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is from the editorial.
Yes.
Okay. Again, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means whole world is a family. The entire world is a family. It's an Indian philosophy from which Upanishad? It is a line from a Upanishad. So which Upanishad has given this line Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? These are the questions that you see. There was a Satyameva Jayate, the India's official motto, right? Okay. That is from a Upanishad. That is a previous year question. From which Upanishad did that line come from? Not numbers, names. Okay. Yes. So that is what I'm trying to tell you. Slowly go through the previous questions. Then you see sometimes like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And probably you'll not find an essay in 2022 written by students without the word Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Everybody will use it very freely because Prime Minister Modi used it so many times that it's a philosophy of India. Especially PSIR, IR also, international relations also, we use the same thing. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means the entire universe is one family. Our whole world is one family. That means you are not different from me. This is the epitome of compassion. Think about it. What is compassion? Compassion is thinking about others. You see someone sleeping on the road or lying on the road. Okay, you just walk away. But if you imbibe the principle that whole universe is one family, that means he's also your family member, then you will go to him and talk to him like what happened. Okay, that kind of highest compassion can be created through the principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Distance to Sri Lanka,
Vaccine, Maitri, anything. See, everything India does is through Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, right? We believe that. See, again, that applied selectivity, but fine, yeah. Good examples: Sri Lanka, Vaccine, Maitri, Bangladesh, Pakistan, disaster relief in Nepal. Everything is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So that is the importance of the term. Don't underestimate it. Very, very powerful philosophy. Next, what is fiscal deficit? I have explained to you in the class that gap between income and expenditure. What about this Great Indian Bustard? Is it there in the newspaper?
Yes, sir.
Did I mention?
Yes, sir.
What is IUCN status?
Less than 150 left and 2 eggs are paid.
So what you are supposed to remember there is it's critically endangered. Okay, so this is from this particular article. See, again, if you don't know, it's fine, but there is a concept called as endangered status. Okay, what is the classification of IUCN classification in red list? Okay, it's an entire book which says if a bird is having a less amount of population, it will be called as critically endangered. Or if their entire survival is under threat, it is critically endangered. So that is a lesson. If you go through previous year questions, whenever you see animal names, UPSC will commonly ask you. They will give 3 or 4 names and they will say, is it critically endangered? Yes or no. So it's a template that you develop. Every time you read newspaper, if you see some animal's name, for example, here Great Indian Bustard is a bird. Okay, and that bird is critically endangered according to whom? IUCN. Right now it is having some changes. So what is happening is decently important, but for film's point of view, what is the IUCN status? Okay, how is it protected? Is Indian government taking any steps? Where is it found? You will find all these things. Okay. So again, this is from newspaper. This is done. So what is not done is the highlighted parts, right? Okay, this one is done. This one is done. What about the 19th question? What is the answer? Yes or no? Yes, you must have written yes, you must have written no, I don't know. But again, the answer is planet's average temperature has increased by 1.1 degrees, not 1.5 degree. 1.5 is the warning, 1.1 is present. So that is why I added the line as of today. As of today, we are only at 1.1, not 1.5. Small details matter. This is how UPSC fools you. Okay, we know 1.5 confirmation bias. We heard 1.5 so many times, we think it's 1.5. Now moving on to the refoulement question. Where does the refoulement question come from? Good. What is refoulement?
Sending, but relative sending back the residents to their country.
Something in those lines.
Partition.
See, this is a mains question from 2021 UPSC GS paper 4. Refugees should not be turned back to the country where they would face persecution of human rights violation. Okay. Examine the statement with reference to ethical dimensions being violated by the nation claiming to be a democratic and open society. So he's indirectly criticizing Indian government in the context of what? Rohingya refugees. Now, what many people who wrote that means did not know is that is the definition of non-refoulement. Okay, non-refoulement means refugees should not be sent back to the country knowing that there will be persecution of human rights. Refoulement means sending back, non-refoulement means you should not send back, because if you send them back, they will be killed. So knowing that they will be killed if you are sending them back, how are you a democratic society? How are you as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? Is that not? Open society means Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And many people would answer to that question without using the word non-refoulement. Okay. So that means when you read what is non-refoulement, you should be able to understand that there is a principle called as non-refoulement. Okay. But at the same time, I want you to remember, see, the entire issue is Rohingyas are refugees, and specifically they are Muslims. Okay. Coming from country like Myanmar to India, there is no cultural similarity. There is a lot of differences between their approach and our approach. And if they come and settle in India, in future, because of poverty, they might be radicalized. Some of them, or one or two of them, can be radicalized. That is what is happening in European countries, right? Communalism is an extreme thing because Rohingyas are refugees, right? They will be settled in some places, but one or two might escape. See, Rohingyas are there even in Hyderabad. Okay. Communalism, I doubt it, because they will be right. You are a refugee. You are already staying as a guest in my country. You cannot have a voice. The state itself will punish you if you raise a voice too much. Okay, but
Long term, after some years, they claim of
they might. It is more about security threat. Government's argument is national security threat. Okay, they might become radicalized. There is a concept called as lone wolf attack. Lone wolf attack. Lone wolf attack means, let's say you are a Rohingya, 10 people, 25 people are staying in one slum. Okay, but one of you have got cell phone something. Obviously, cell phone is an easy thing to acquire, right? So you read all these Islamic hating websites, like extreme radicalization. Radicalization happened. Then that one person will go and start killing people, or become a terrorist, or attack something. These kind of things are called as a lone wolf attack. Recently, what happened to Salman Rushdie in USA is a lone wolf attack. Why? Some youth in America was very radicalized. He hated Salman Rushdie. He was willing to take that risk to kill someone in the name of religion. Okay, what happened in that Kanayalal case in Jaipur, Jaipur, Rajasthan, right? So that case is also an example for radicalization and lone wolf attack. That means here there was a company for him, but the thing is they are radicalized, right? They are random bits and pieces. Okay, earlier terrorists were exported by Pakistan. Now terrorists are being made within our country by radicalization, by brainwashing. The more I brainwash you, you can become a terrorist. You are an Indian citizen and you are working against India. Now you are a Rohingya and you have been radicalized. Then there is no loyalty for you. It is easy for me to brainwash you. So saying all these things, Indian government is saying, I don't want refugees. See, India has a huge amount of legacy of allowing refugees. We have Syrian refugees in 7th century. Varghese Kurain, the milkman, Varghese Kurain, yes. So the Amul White Revolution, he is a Syrian Christian. right? Migrants have contributed to these countries. Parsis, the Zoroastrians came from Iran and settled in Gujarat coast. So, and there were Jews in Assam. Okay, the Tibet, Bangladesh. See, it's not like India was not happy to accept refugees, right? Sri Lanka, all over the world we have accepted. Afghanistan, you see, Nepal, everywhere. But now things have changed. Now technology have radicalized populations, groups. So it says national security threat. So that is why India is thinking to send them back. And the Hindu article is criticizing, right? There is a concept called as UN Principles of Refoulement, and India is violating it. But the same international law also says national security is an exception to non-refoulement. Okay, using national security, I can violate the non-refoulement principle also. That means I can send them back knowing that they will be killed, because my national security is more important to me rather than their life. Okay, so that is a contradiction. But again, as a nation, my obligation is towards my citizens, right? I have to protect my citizens first. So these are all the points that you have to understand. I hope now you understand what is principle of non-refoulement. Principle of non-refoulement means sending back someone in spite of knowing they will be hurt. Okay, so what is the best course of action? Construct huge areas where refugees can be stored, like camps, etc. Detention center, patrolling centers. Sorry, not patrolling. Detention centers and camps. Okay, then talk to Myanmar to promise that, you know, if I send them all back, you will not kill them. Myanmar government has to give that promise in writing. Then there is no harm in sending them back, right? Because they won't be killed. They might be jailed, but they won't be just maintaining law and order, right? Like if you know that police will keep on coming, you will not do illegal activities. See, poverty will push people into a lot of things, right? You can enter into robbery. Your survival is under threat, then you can do a lot of things. Okay, so that is principle of non-refoulement. It was there in the editorial. You are supposed to at least notice that term. So no problem. Next time when you see the previous questions, automatically your brain will remind you. Next, demographic change. Which article? Border states told to watch demographic change. Demography means population, right? Demography, demos, people, right? People change. It can be religion, it can be numbers, it can be age, it can be population, sizes. Okay. So here specifically, Amit Shah is saying that please notice demographic changes in border districts. See, India is sharing huge amount of border with a lot of countries, and the borders are porous borders. What is porous?
No
Yes.
strict prohibition.
It is not airtight compartment. There is some gap. No matter how strict you are, there is some gap. For example, between India and Bangladesh, there are 54 rivers. Just between India and Bangladesh, there are 54 rivers. Okay, and riverine borders are very difficult to man. Why? I cannot put a fence on the rivers, right? Okay, there will be silt. There will be a lot of issues. So if I'm a Bangladeshi, if I want to come to India, I have 54 ways to come into India, technically speaking, right? And hilly and difficult terrains, mountains, passes. I don't know how many possibilities are there. Desert between India and Pakistan. All these are porous. Okay, so specifically in Bangladesh and Assam relations or Indian relations, what happened is a lot of population came from Bangladesh and started settling in Assam. Okay, during 1971 war, we officially allowed a lot of refugees. After that, also their relatives, their friends, family members, like this influx, illegal migrants came and settled. Now there used to be a good number of Hindu population in Assam. Okay, now the demography has changed so much that Muslims are majority, Hindus are minority in some districts. So that has become some issue with the local areas, because obviously migrants are taking away jobs, migrants are getting Indian citizenship benefits. They are occupying a lot of territory. So that has affected the interests of actual local Indians. Yes. So that is why Amit Shah is reminding us that be careful of demographic changes in the border areas. That might also lead to security threat. See, 9 out of 10 refugees who came, or 10 out of 10 refugees who came, are illegal immigrants who came, are looking for better opportunities. They came for genuine reasons. But there might be one person hiding among them who is a terrorist. Okay, he's a national security threat. See, we have to be vigilant every day, but terrorists have to succeed only once. Yes, so that is the problem of national security. Okay, and here the term you can learn is a demographic. Yesterday also I told you probably the same thing if you remember. Demographic, dividend, and curse. Old people or people with skills are a advantage as are a people are brains. I told you, remember, people are brains. That is demographic dividend. Okay, what I mean by that is people between the age of 15 to 59 are normally called as demographic dividend. They are the working age population. Working age population. Working age population is a demographic dividend. Dividend means what? Profit, right? Dividend is a profit that you give, extra profit. Okay, so by virtue of 15 to 59 having more population in India, they are supposed to contribute to the economic growth of the nation. Demographic dividend. But what will be the curse? When these people want to do any activity, then they will become old one day. Then they will become burden or a curse to the nation. Yes. To understand demographic dividend and demographic curse, you can go into the discussion of Malthusian theory. Malthusian theory. Are you aware of Malthusian theory? What is Malthusian? Have you ever heard about it? In society book it is there. Good.
Three stages of transformation will be occur in population.
You are talking about the demographic change, that is pyramids, age pyramids, right?
But in middle stage, like last stage and middle stage are unable to be connected.
Malthus is a person who gave a theory saying, population is a curse. The more population there is there, that is a burden. Okay, people are burden. What you are talking about is the evolution of cycle, not the intercycle. That has nothing to do with Malthusian theory. Okay, Malthus says that population are burden. More the population, less the growth, less the development. Population will only take the resources, they will eat, they are unnecessary burden on the planet. See, if you see Batman movies, Ra's al Ghul, okay, or Dan Brown's novels like the last one, or movies like Thanos is an example of Malthusian theory. Okay, so all these people believe that people should not be there. Lesser the population, better the progress. But opposite to Malthusian theory is people are not stomach, people are brain. If more human capital is there, they will contribute to the planet. We have 8 billion population. Yes or no? The world is actually going to reach 8 billion population very soon. 8 billion, 800 crore people are there in the planet. If 800 crore people actively help each other, contribute to each other, imagine the wonders we can create. That is a problem, imagine, right? Okay, so we have the science and technology, that the progress, the human capital, the amount of creativity. Yes, people are not burden, people are resource. It's our failure to use the resource. So Malthusian theory is a bad theory, so we should not encourage Malthusian ideology. We should try and skill people. Okay, more human capital, more money, more advantage, more development, more progress. See, we don't know which human brain can create what, right? Yes, so that is the advantage. So demographic dividend means people are asset to the nation. When the people don't contribute, they will become burden, because today you are youth 30, 40, whatever. One day you will become 60. At that time, if the economy is not strong, then what happens? It has to take care of your health needs. It has to take care of your mental health needs, maintain you, protect you, pensions, so on and so forth. And all these problems are going to increase. Okay. So that is about demographic change, demographic dividend, demographic cuts. Now the last question. What do you understand by Plato's allegory of cave? Which paper, which article? Okay, so this is a beautiful article to understand a lot of things, and it will also give you imagination if you can think about it in depth. Okay, what is see, that is what I say, right? Newspaper is not just reading the headlines. Newspaper is reading between the lines. Reading between the lines is more creative endeavor rather than reading just the lines. What is the first thing I told you on day one? What should you carry every day? Syllabus copy, right? If you know the syllabus copy and if you know the previous questions, I think you will appreciate this article better. Okay. Yesterday I was discussing an essay topic with a student. The topic was, you can evade reality, but you cannot evade the consequences of reality. Think about it. You can evade reality, but you cannot evade the consequences of reality. So you are supposed to write a 1200 word essay on that particular topic. Okay. Now there is also a topic called as Western philosophers in your ethics paper. Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, all these people will be covered in your ethics paper, right? So in essay, ethics, and in your overall understanding of Indian mythology, that is Maya, the veil. Yes, that will also give you a lot of understanding to write essays and society paper, right? Okay. Now, is this reality a reality? Whatever you are you real? According to the Hindu philosophy, the Hindu mythology, not Hindu philosophy, mythology, Hindu philosophy, okay, except God, okay, except the Parabrahma, okay, everything else is Maya. If Shiva is truth, Parvati is Maya, right? Okay, between them, the entire universe is there. Whatever you are seeing, this hand, this building, this life, everything is myth. It's just an illusion. The only truth is the God, right? Moksha, the ultimate enlightenment. That means you joining the God is the ultimate reality. Everything else is a Maya. Okay, don't get attached to any of your life. That is what Krishna says, right? Sthita Pragnata, the highest mental model, as far as I know, is all about not being attached. Okay, detachable attachment. You should not be attached to anything. Tamaraku meeda neeti pottu. That means it should be like a water on the lotus leaf. It won't be attached. It will smooth very slowly. That is Indian philosophy. Indian Upanishads will also argue the same thing, that there is nothing but God. Okay, what is freedom? The one seeking freedom, when it stops seeking freedom, is freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, the one what am I? See, I am, according to Indian Dharma, what am I? I'm a soul locked in a body, not the other way around. I'm not a body with soul. I'm a soul locked in a body. So my see Parabrahma, okay, or Bhagavan, Bhagavan, like Bhaga means pieces, right? Bhagavantudu. Why is he Bhagavan? He has been split into so many pieces. All the pieces combined together is Bhagavan. The whole is God. Your peace. Your soul is nothing but a part of God, right? Okay. Even better way for you to understand today in today's world is Matrix movie. If you see Matrix movie, it's a very highly philosophical movie. Okay, people see action parts, right? The slow-mo movies, but Matrix is nothing but code. That entire green code is God. Let's imagine if the entire green code is God, the entire Matrix, the Maya, the veil you see is again created using the same code, right? Okay, if God is one atom, okay, the same atom is in all of us. So you are not different from God, but you have to break that mask to see that reality. When you see that, you are Brahmagnani. Okay, so all these things are already there in our Upanishads. Okay, why am I saying this? That is exactly what Plato's allegory of cave also says. Okay, Plato's allegory of cave is for them 2000 years ago, 3000 years ago. What Plato says is, actually it is a Socratic con. Socrates says this. Plato wrote that in a book. Okay, so imagine you lock 3 people in a cave. Okay, they are born in that cave, they are brought up in that cave. Okay, and they are chained to the cave. Okay, they can only see the wall of the cave. They cannot see the entrance of the cave. They cannot turn. They cannot move. Okay, all they see is they see the shadows. Okay, behind them there is a fire or the door. Okay, through that light will come, and the light is reflected on the shadows on the wall. So for them, the reality is the shadows on the wall. Okay, not the images, right? Okay, a dog has walked and the dog's shadow is on the wall. So these three people have grown up thinking that whatever I see on the shadow is on the wall is reality. Okay, one day what happens is one of that person is released. You are free to go out of the cave. Then he will have a mental shock, right? Cultural shock, mental shock. That till that day he started only thinking that, you know, it's like Matrix, like Neo coming out of that Matrix. See, that is the beauty of the philosophy. Suddenly you understood all this is myth. Only God is real. I'm Brahmagnani. People will call me mad. Okay. Yes or no? So there is a madman throwing 500 rupees on the notes. He's a madman, or are we mad to clinch to the 500 rupee notes? Yes or no? That is what Rajinikanth's that Baba movie also discusses. Okay. So philosophy, Indian philosophy is very higher. It's us who fail to understand that. Okay. So again, why am I telling you all these things? I will tell you that is creative freedom, right? So coming back to allegory of cave, that person who was released out of the cave, now he starts to understand that, okay, shadows are fake, objects are real. After a few days, he goes back to his friends in the cave and he will tell them, okay, dog is real, shadow is fake. Then what will his friends say?
You're mad.
His friends will say you are mad, and they will violently kick him out. They will violently kick him out. This is the same thing that is happening to societies nowadays. Yes or no? No politician is God. God is God. We cannot worship politicians as God. Okay, our religions are not God. Our political parties are not God. But we are so deeply in belief that we are willing to kill in the name of ideas. More people have been killed in the name of the religion than any other thing. Yes or no? Religion is supposed to be a great unifier, right? Crusades. If you think about crusades, the jihad, the terrorism that is happening now, everything is happening in the name of what? Everything is happening in the name of God and the religion, right? Not the other way around. You're not fighting for resources. See, you all know Harari says this, right? In 1850 itself, whether in Scotland or in India, we killed each other literally with guns for a piece of territory. This is my land. This is your land. This is Ireland, Scotland, Switzerland, whatever it is, right? This is India, our India, freedom struggle, 1857, the first war of independence. 200 years down the line, now we have evolved so much as a civilization. We vote for Brexit. Britain, right? Britain wanted to exit from European Union, so they voted and saying we are going out. Okay, nobody killed anyone. Yes or no? We fought through battle. That means human civilization is evolving. We are not the same barbarics, right? Okay, we were barbarians, but we are evolving every day. So people now discuss, if I want a separate land, I will argue, I will vote for you, I will go for plebiscite or something, right? I don't kill each other. But there are people who still believe that the old ideas are valid. If Kanayalal said something against a god, okay, or the god, I am willing to kill him rather than ask him for a debate. That civilizational understanding is not coming to everyone because some people are in the veil, the Maya, and they believe that Maya is truth. Okay, that consensus building is not happening in the society, and the problem is not with one, right? The problem is with the larger society. The larger society is not allowing the discussions to break that Maya. We are actually building our own Mayas, right? We are creating our own versions of the story. I created a veil. I hate that person. Why? He belongs to a particular religion. He hates me. Why? I belong to this religion. Both of us have veils. When will our veils be broken? When we have truth, when wisdom finds truth, right? When we break the myth, when we break the illusion. But what are we doing? Okay, you live in your Maya, I will live in my Maya. That is what we call as echo bubbles or echo chambers. Echo chambers. Echo means repetition of sound, right? Echo chamber means I said I hate Muslims. Okay, everybody repeats saying the same thing. That means we are reinforcing each other ideas. I'm happy to live in my bubble. Okay, they are happy to live in their bubble. There is no communication whatsoever between both the bubbles, but all of us live in the same society. We are the cavemen. Yes or no? So how are they different from the cave people? Or the Plato's allegory of cave? Right? I'm seeing the shadow. Okay, I hate Muslims, I hate Hindus, I hate Christians, or I hate someone else. Okay, I'm looking at the shadow and I'm generalizing everyone. All Muslims are bad, all Hindus are bad, all Christians are bad. I have generalized everyone. I'm living in that illusion and I'm happy to live in that illusion. If someone with rationality comes and says, not all Muslims are bad, not all Pakistanis are bad. The anti-national, chamcha, prostitute, pseudo-liberals, right? So all these labels are thrown at him and he will even stop saying anything. See, Socrates was given hemlock for enlightening the youth of the particular generation, right? He was given poison. The poison is hemlock, right? So he was given poison for speaking rational ideas. So speaking truth killed him, right? In today's India or in today's world, religion, we are fighting in the name of religions and nobody is trying to break that veil. Everybody is happy to reinforce that veil. Donald Trump says, make America great again. Migrants are taking our jobs. He has promoted the hate. That is why the gun culture is very high in USA. Yes. You understand? So that is a problem. The veil, the Maya is not being broken and it is actually being reinforced using fake news, misinformation, disinformation. Every day you see one or the other WhatsApp message saying this. It reinforces. Okay. So the problem is again, the same Upanishads, the same Hindu Sanatan Dharma gives a huge amount of scope for Vada, the debate, the argument. Okay, that is why we are an argumentative Indian, right? Shankaracharya started in the 7th century, the 8th century BC, and he traveled the entire country 3 times on foot, okay, defeating every other religious scholar or every other person through debate. Okay, he convinced the others using knowledge. He was an argumentative Indian, right? He went there, he debated tooth and nail. Okay, he propounded his philosophy, he argued, counter-argued, he defeated, and he was able to convince the other party. That kind of long debates are not happening in the country. The entire country is now in a WhatsApp forward. You see that, X has killed Y. That's all. You don't even read the next lines. So we're creating opinions on the basis of one line, one tweet. Yes. So that is a very dangerous thing. The lengthy debate has gone. The ability to communicate between two individuals or two societies is long. Friends are fighting now over BJP or Congress or BJP, Aam Aadmi Party, BJP, Hindu, Muslim, right? So the space for public debate has come down. We are narrowing our caves. Okay. In such a situation, if Salman Rushdie or Nupur Sharma or someone else is threatened or Kannaya Lal is murdered, it's the responsibility of the entire society to say wrong is wrong. We should not be hypocrites. Okay, that is where Indian Constitution shines. If X is a citizen of this country, X has done some crime, X, irrespective of whoever she is thrown into the jail outright. Okay, if X has done wrong, throw him in the jail. But how do we throw people in the jail? Is he MLA son? Is he MP son? Is he politically connected? Is he Hindu? Is he Muslim? Is he Dalit? Is he ST? Is he Christian? Is he connected? You take the labels, right? You take the networks. Then if you throw someone selectively and don't throw others, okay, then you are creating a society which creates only more chaos. Killing anyone in the name of religion is wrong. If those two people have killed Kannaya Lal, it is the most outrageous thing and we as a society should condemn it. But at the same time, if someone was mob lynched over what he eats, that is also equally wrong. Sir, no. Okay. You can ask him, see, I don't like you to eat that particular thing because I respect it. I will provide you an alternative. Are you willing to change? If he says yes, probably, which he will, okay, then that is the debate. But directly you have taken a bat and started beating him to death. Why? He has suspectedly ate something. Okay, then that has shrinked the democratic discussion space. Okay, that is a problem. I hope this article makes more sense now. Wrong is wrong. If the society or the world is not hypocritical, then this kind of problems won't happen. But the world is highly hypocritical. When America drops bombs in the name of national security and it has killed countless innocents, okay, we call it as a superpower. Yes or no? That is a wrong thing. Who gave you the authority to be the police of the world? Even if you kill terrorists, okay, you have to kill the right ones, right? You cannot kill innocent children in the name of eliminating national security. And then if China does the same thing, then you'll blame China. You'll bring pressure on China. Again, two wrongs won't make it a right, right? Then we enter into whataboutery. Whataboutery means what did he do? There is a concept called as whataboutery. If I discuss, the rapists in Gujarat are being released, then the immediate question is, why are rapists in Telangana given bail? So we are happy to discuss two idiots, but none of us are bothered about the actual issue, that is the rape case. Rape case is the issue there, right? Not the religion. That is a core problem. But what the society have moved to a point where we are happy to discuss. What about that? See, if Congress has 2002 Gujarat riots, then what will immediately BJP respond? 1984 Delhi riots. Okay, under you that riots happened. No, why are you discussing that? Okay, compromise. If you have skeletons in my cupboard, I have skeletons. Both of us have skeletons, so it's better to be silent. Yes, right. So again I am saying, see, you can also criticize or discuss about Indian gods. If I say Salman Rushdie can criticize Quran or satanic verses can be written, I should also have the mindset to say you can write something about Ramayana or Mahabharata also. But I will have the right to disagree with you, right? As long as it is, rational, not outright hate. As long as it promotes critical thinking, I should be able to entertain it. If today the entire community comes and says, Salman Rushdie, I support Salman Rushdie, I hate that person because he criticized Iran. But tomorrow the same society should not say Salman Rushdie wrote a book about Ramayana. You should be able to take it. Or you criticize Salman Rushdie in the right place. Don't write about religion. But the beauty is, when you criticize something, if it is truly great, it will shine more. If Ramayana can stand of time for 5,000 years and still stands very strong, that means it must be a very good authority, right? Okay, all the criticism in the world cannot take away the shine of Ramayana. So then criticize it more. I'm not afraid because I know it is a wonderful book. It cannot be touched by anyone. So that is my confidence. My religion gives me that kind of confidence. But if you are offended by the very first criticism, yes, there is something wrong. Okay, so that is the overall understanding. Okay, as a liberal society, as a democratic society, we can allow anyone to criticize anything in the reasonable pace. If you don't like something, you can counter argue, counter criticize. I can write a book why satanic verses is wrong or why Salman Rushdie is wrong. That is again my opinion. Write books, argue, counter argue, invite him to debates, convince him. If you genuinely feels, I have committed a mistake, I didn't understand the book, so then he will probably apologize, or his stand will get strengthened. The world needs to know more truth. That kind of debate is not happening. When it's about you, I'm happy to support you. When it's about me, please don't even write an article. Okay, yeah. And the problem of one more problem of this is radicalization. Is I don't know about my own religion. Most Hindus don't know Hinduism and our Sanatana Dharma. There is no such thing as Hinduism. We are not a ism, right? We are a dharma. We are land of dharma. Dharma is Sanatan. That means it's never ending, or it does not have a point. Okay, it is there always. Okay. The problem is when people say, you have 3 crore gods. Most Hindus don't know how to counter that. See, that is the thing, right? Okay, there is only ultimately one Parabrahma in Hinduism. Whether you read Shiva Purana or Krishna or Devi or whatever it is, the ultimate summary is God is one. Okay, so but we don't know how to convey that, because I haven't ever read my own books, right? Everybody says Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful book, but nobody reads the explanation to Bhagavad Gita. First of all, we forgot how to read Sanskrit. Even I don't know that. Okay, that's not a problem. At least the translations, we don't have the time. Then the same with all other religions, right? Then at the age of 18, 19, I go to YouTube to search what is my religion. Okay, the first person I find is someone like Naik. Okay, so let's say if I'm from Islam, then I don't know properly. I can read Quran or I will do namaz and all those things, but actually don't understand what is Islam. Then I will go to YouTube and search what is Hinduism, what is Islam or something. Then if the first person I find is someone radicalized, okay, then I will start believing that this is my version of the India. Okay, this is my version of Hinduism. Oh, I should also be like this. Hinduism is weak right now. Hindus should unite. Hindus should stand tall. Something. Then what happens? I will become communalized or radicalized or something. But if there is a right teacher from day one, from the childhood itself, you will understand how great my religion is or how great other religions is. Because my religion has the courage to say that, Sarva Dharma Samabhava, all religions are equal. Okay, then I will understand. I need not worry about my religion, because my religion's philosophy is much more matured than anything I know. Okay, Indian philosophy stands very tall. It is our inability to understand its depth. Okay, then I will not be worried by small offenses. But the moment you are getting offended by small, criticism, that means you are not sure, you are insecure. That insecurity has to go away. That can only go away through education, right? So again, so I hope the debate made some sense to you. Like, what is allegory of cave? That is a depth that you are supposed to know, and this will help you in ethics paper, essay paper, and your overall understanding of India, the freedom of religion, the debates and communalism that is happening in the society. Yes, wrong is wrong. Nobody should be killed in the name of religion. And many radicalized youth from the particular community or others in other places of the world. See, there are also white people who are getting radicalized and killing each other in the schools. Gun culture in USA, right? So rise of right wing all over the world, not only in USA, India, is happening because youth are not aware of their own religions. They don't have the understanding. Okay, and this fake news is a huge problem. It creates more hate than love. And as Nelson Mandela says, if hate can be learned, so can be love. If you know how to, if you can learn how to hate someone, you can also learn how to love someone. And there is one more veil, not now, but for social justice, Veil of Ignorance by John Rawls. Veil of Ignorance by John Rawls. That is one more you can learn. Everyone is born equal. Yes, see, again, all these things are very I mean, they need in-depth discussion, right? You need to spend good amount of time. These things won't get into your brain immediately. You need to read this, analyze this for months, 6-7 months down the line. These things will become part of who you are. That is when you will start appreciating the articles in newspaper. So keep reading. That is my suggestion. If you have read this and okay, this article is Veil of Maya, Veil of Cave. Okay, Salman Rushdie, something. I didn't understand, and you moved on. You lost a huge opportunity to reshape your thought process. Yes, it gives you a wonderful opportunity to understand. Again, as Gandhi says, hate the sin, not the sinner. It takes huge amount of mental maturity. Any confusions? Need any explanation? And one general suggestion I give to all my students is read letters to the editor, write letters to the editor. If you read newspaper every day, you will have an opinion, you will have a say on something, you feel like expressing something, then write the same thing to the Hindu. If you get published, you can cite that as an example in your mains DAF, detailed application form. You can say that is my hobby, writing letters to the editor. Okay, and at the same time, the advantage of writing letters to the editor is you have this much amount of data to say, like huge data to say, but you have to write only this much. So concise of data will improve your articulation abilities. Okay. Say for example, say this Balasubramaniam Pavan is a regular writer. She wrote, while refugees do need compassion, there are limits India can take. Right? It is a very, very generic statement. I personally don't appreciate such generic statement. Why? Doesn't India know that it needs to discuss with Myanmar? If you know as a reader, as probably a UPSC aspirant, don't you think Indian government or Jaishankar knows that?
Yes.
If you have to contribute something, contribute by saying how, bring an out of box solution, right? By helping Myanmar construct the something, or by contributing something. See, if you don't want a headache in country, you have to spend something, right? There is a mutual compromise between India and Myanmar. Just like in Sri Lanka, we are helping the refugees, the Tamil refugees, recover by having houses. So my government, Sri Lanka do not have money for the refugees. Then Indian government gave money for Sri Lankan refugees. In Sri Lanka, they have constructed camps and all those things. So the migrants are happy there. In the same way, you can discuss with Myanmar by constructing some camps or something and getting promises that people in this particular colony will not be affected. That is a solution. That is contribution. Saying Myanmar and India should talk is, as Jaishankar says, lazy analogy. Right? Okay, again, not my words, Jaishankar. Okay. But again, that is not the purpose of letters to the editor. Letters to the editor is expressing your own frustration. Like, I didn't like something, I liked something, or we can discuss about this. This article was good, this article was not good. So, see here, Sheshadri Santanam is very angry. Why? He says, allowing remission is a barbaric crime, is worse than the crime itself. So that is a contribution. That is his version of the story, right? What happened to her is crime. Okay, by releasing them, you have committed even heinous crime. Again, everybody can have opinions. We don't have to agree with her, disagree with her, but looking at different perspectives will develop your own thinking process. And the most difficult part is to put something on pen and paper. When you sit tomorrow to type a letter to the editor, for example, you'll understand how difficult it is to articulate something in such a small space, right? So try that, try writing this, and here is the email ID. Okay, you can even write to Indian Express. They also publish letters to the editor. So the more you write, the better your articulation and better your hobby will be. Whether they are published or not is irrelevant. But you doing that daily will develop your writing skill. Yes. This we have discussed, right, yesterday. This article is about internal security. So soon we are going to use technology to strengthen our security system. So there will be questions like how Indian government is using technology. So 5G technology will strengthen internal security. Or in GS paper 3 science and tech, you will find a question saying how is Indian government, how will 5G help India? Right? There will also be helpful. So now you have understood, at least in the last 3 days, like what is the depth of newspaper and how newspaper can help you each and every day. Okay, and I haven't even entered into economy, because if I enter into economy, you need to have some basics. Okay, without basics, business section paper will be like a huge headache. Say for example, unless you know the meaning of inflation and different types of inflation and what is inflation targeting. For example, here he writes level below 6% to or 2 to 6. Okay, none of these things will make sense unless you have some basics. So don't think that I'm skipping newspaper articles. I have a very clear idea when to discuss what. And as I say, current affairs is always circular. The same topics are coming from my preparation days, 2010. Okay, nothing new will come. So don't worry about leaving anything, but just keep reading so that at least they are in your brain. 5G, inflation, GST, these terms you should get familiarized with. Okay, and if you can frame questions like this, one-liners, it will also give you some clarity. Or else I will give you the questions, you can think about the same in the newspaper articles. So now I want you to also understand what is expected of you in the UPSC. Okay, so most people are lazy. All humans are lazy by default, except when your life is under threat. Okay, we tend not to do things. As Abraham Lincoln says, if I have 4 hours to chop a tree, okay, I will sharpen the axe for 3 hours. Right? You need to have a good tool to cut the tree, right? What is the point of cutting the tree with a blunt axe? Sharp axe means more efficiency. In the same way, more questions and more understanding of the pattern means more efficient reading of newspaper and UPSC preparation. So this is 2021 UPSC essay paper. If you see this, you will understand why sir spent 20 minutes discussing the allegory of cave. Okay, all the 8 topics are philosophical topics. There is no breathing space. You can read the topics, right? The process of self-discovery has become technologically outsourced. Second statement, your perception of me is reflection of you. My reflection to you is awareness. My reaction to you is awareness of me. You have to write 1200 words. For normal person who do not understand, you know, A4 sheet, right? Front and back. Like this, you have to fill 5 pages. And the same topic, not what you know. Okay, you have to expand this into 1200 words.
Philosophy examples.
How? Okay. Yes, first of all, you need to understand the question, right? If you don't understand the question, how will you expand? The real is rational. Rational is real. You understand Maya now?
Yeah.
Okay. Maya is real. Real is Maya. Maya is real, right?
Yeah.
No?
Paradox.
Paradox. Exactly. And you're supposed to write a 1200 word essay on this with intro, body, conclusion. So every dot connects with the other dot. So don't underestimate newspapers or UPSC preparation. It's not a halwa, it's not a joke. If so many people are struggling, then you need to get even more stronger, better. Yes. Just for understanding sake, can you even give me one example for the 4th topic? The real is rational, rational is real.
Example of communal rights itself. People are fighting for something which.
Where does it fit?
Real is rational in sense what actual mythology says is far away from what people.
See, it has to be same person, right? It should be like 2 sides of the same coin. Let's say the real is rational. I hate X. Okay, that is rational for me. I hate X. Okay, that is my reality. That is my rationality. So see, rationality cannot be same for no 2 people, right? Your rationality is different from my rationality. My reality is different from your reality. For you, real is different. For me, real is different. Then I started believing that rationality is real. It has to be the same head and same tail. 2 sides of the same coin. Okay. So these are philosophical topics. It is getting difficult every year. So your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is awareness of me. I did give an example for this today itself. In today's class, I gave you an example which you can use in essay number 2. I don't know. Remember the first class diagram, dots, information, wisdom. Try to recollect all the examples I have given and try to apply it to second lesson.
Reacting to communal rights is my awareness. I'm open to the debate if I am sure enough. That's my awareness.
The Kerala laptop example. So my perception is that men and women should not be sitting together. Okay, but my reaction shows I'm more mature than you. So I'm not bothered about your lived statements. The Kerala judge case also can be an example. See, it is very difficult. It comes only through practice, right? So you have to apply it. Again, you don't know ABCD of UPSC essay. I don't expect you to know, but I'm trying to warn you that you are entering into a cave. You should not enter with darkness in your mind, right? Yes. There are better practices to best practices. History repeats itself first as a tragedy, second as a farce. What is research but a blind date with knowledge? Hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Which topic is sounding very familiar? Hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Okay. No. What will you write for 1200 words in one lesson? Right? That is a challenge. So that is where you should be aiming for. Okay. Now, having said that, I will just look briefly at the, let's say, some questions. So the question number 6 and question number 8 sounds very simple, right? Why is Indian considered as a subcontinent? Okay, you read that as one line in NCRT, right? India is a subcontinent. Everybody knows that. Why? Question number 9, question number 10. Coal related, not only coal, it is all about overall, right? India has rivers, India has mountains, India has plateaus. From starting to ending, India is as big as a continent, either in population size also. In so many ways, you can justify that answer. But again, question number 10, have you ever heard about the term gig economy? No? That is something you see every day. Swiggy, Zomato, delivery boys, all these people are called as gig economy. Gig means a small act. Gig is an act in a drama, right? So 1 hour you are a driver, 1 hour you are a delivery boy, 1 hour you are something else. So that small gigs you play in the economy is gig economy. Part-time workers, contractual labors. So all this is a gig economy. So that is how UPSC asks you direct question, right? Again, I'm not entering into geography because you won't appreciate it, but for society point of view, as I said, if you remember, cryptocurrency questions. What is cryptocurrency? How does it affect global society? How has it affected Indian society? Okay. The 20th question is a bouncer, right? See, no institute in the entire country will prepare you for such questions. Okay, UPSC asks such questions deliberately so that student will think on his or her feet. There is no such thing as ready-made answer. How does Indian society maintain continuity in traditional social values? Not only social values, traditional social values. You have to be traditionally social value that has to be continued. And how are you making sure that it is getting to next? If you misinterpret anywhere, either in social values or in traditional or anything, gone. You'll write something else. Okay. That is why exactly it is called as a bound. Yeah.
to Sri Lanka, can you cover this?
Again, the question paper is GS paper 1, society.
So, promoting festival celebrations,
Mm-hmm.
creating awareness about
Mm.
about festivals and why we celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
Giving importance to all religions and all celebrations and
How are you carrying that? Enumerate the changes taking place. Are the changes taking place in the right way or the wrong way?
shouldn't be partial in this answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't give away my answer right.
Oh. Mm. Like?
Changes.
Mm.
So I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
He asked about how we are maintaining the social values. So can we mention that they are getting diluted? I mean,
Why not? Are they strong? They are getting diluted, right? Then write that only. See, there are ways how WhatsApp is promoting social values. At the same time, how WhatsApp is eroding social values. Both are true. You can write both.
he just asked about promotion.
You have to expand, right? If you remember the first question, what is the first question? I mean, if you see the first question, what is the first question? Constitutional morality is rooted in the Constitution itself and is founded on essential facets. Explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of relevant judicial decisions. At least you know what is constitutional morality, right? What is constitutional morality?
Judgment of decisions according to the constitution.
Anything good according to the Constitution is constitutional morality. Something has to be upheld as Constitution. Then you can use certain examples. Okay, so every day you get an opportunity to collect case studies. Okay, if you read newspapers, your examples will be very dynamic. I mean, at least in your mind, you will be able to recollect, right? One day, all these examples will show up in some material. But when you read the material, it will be like a second revision. But if you only depend on magazines, it will backfire. Okay, your effort combined with smart work will take you to places. Okay, so think about fifth question. Have you ever heard the term? Is it in your syllabus copies? The explicit. What about the rest of you? Syllabus copy on the pressure groups. Which paper?
2 or 1.
GS paper to pressure groups. There is an explicit line. That is why I told you. Okay, why am I showing you the question papers? I'm showing you the question papers to show that UPSC exactly follows the syllabus copy, but it will be dynamic. They will not ask you from that point of view. What is pressure group? What they're asking you pressure groups in context of business communities, pressure group in context of someone else. Okay, in the same way, you will find the term called as self-help groups, NGOs. So there is a question on self-help groups. But in the newspaper, if you see self-help group, Asha workers, Anganwadi, if you don't read that article, you lost something. So knowing syllabus copy, knowing previous year questions will keep your mind even more open. You will read and appreciate the articles in a better way. If you see the 10th question, it's visible, right? Yeah. The USA is facing an existential threat from China that is more challenging than erstwhile Soviet Union. So the first class, I think I have discussed briefly, very briefly about Taiwan and why Taiwan is a tool between China and USA. The real issue is not Taiwan. The real issue is war between China and USA. So you revised a question without even knowing that you are revising it. So that is the beauty of newspaper. Okay. So at least you have some idea, right? China and US are fighting. Taiwan is a tool. China does not want USA to rise, or USA does not want China to rise. Why? They want a unipolar world, not a bipolar world. What does India need? India need a multipolar world. Okay, so like this, write at least the answer. 17th question is again a commonsensical question, right? So he has already removed two things. Normally, how do you empower women? Education. How do you empower women? By giving schemes. He already said we are doing all these things. Tell me something new.
Men education and men empower.
Feminist.
Daughters
What interventions can help change the milieu? Like how will we change the life of women in post-independence?
Sensitization.
250 words you have to write. You have said one line. What about the rest?
Same point.
Parliament, more women.
Will it fall under empowerment scheme?
No, it's not a scheme, right? Schemes is like giving you some dole. Again, don't worry. See, again, please remember, my intention is not to make you answer these questions. My intention is just to make you think that questions will come in these lines. You need to be alert. Next time when you see something about, let's say, women empowerment, your brain will automatically think, can I use this in that particular question? Yes or no? That is the purpose. That is how you grow. Reservation in jobs. Again, it is more about holistic things like pushing more women into or creating infrastructure. There are a lot of things that you can do. See, you have to build the capabilities, right? Yesterday, that is my summary. You create the roads, automatically people will walk. Without creating roads, you cannot say people are not walking. There is nothing. I mean, this paper is a technical paper, paper 3. At least 10th question makes some sense to you. You can write in Indian internal security should be updated. I mean, the servers up. But again, you haven't come across a single article which you can directly use. So as I said, this is a technical paper, right? In the last 4 days, we haven't discussed any this one. 17th question. Okay, so we have seen the article architect amplification article, right? So we know how bad Glasgow Agreement has done, or what are Panchamrit principles of India. We haven't discussed, but at least you can connect, right? Okay, there is a problem, then there is a solution. 20th question also we can use from today's discussion, right? Analyze the complexity and intensity of terrorism. Linkages and obnoxious nexus. See, terrorism is an ideology, right? Terrorism is a thought process. So why is it complex? Why is it intense? There are a lot of reasons why terrorism exists. There are a lot of reasons why that is intense, and there is a reason why it is obnoxious nexus. Nexus means an unholy connection, right? Like in the sense it's more about things that should not exist, the connections that should not exist, like politicians and terrorists working together, okay, or villagers and terrorists working together. That connection should not be there. Terrorists should be shunned by everyone. But if some locals are supporting the terrorists, then there means the locals are not happy with the government. Yes, that is when terrorism survives. So I have to discuss this from that particular point of view. At least keep in mind that whatever we have discussed will make sense in the long run. So again, 6B, this question, Dalai Lama question. So UPSC expects you to write a 10 marker on a quote. You can never obtain peace in outer world until we obtain peace with ourselves. What should we do?
Improving our religious tolerance.
Why there? Why go?
Okay.
Why go to communalism? And nobody can teach you, right? Like this is not something that anybody can teach you. You have to think what is your inner peace, or what is your understanding of development comes only through your understanding of ethics. But that happens only through daily churning. For example, life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. Okay, we need each other, and sooner we learn it is better for all of us. Can you use anything? No need of going for war. Interdependence.
Suppose if there is hatred between two nations, we don't cut off all the ties because we may need some oil, we need some imports from them.
Can we say this is an English translation of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam?
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Can we also think of this in the lines of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? Yes, right. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is interdependence and appreciation for whole world as a family, and the world will depend on each other. We have discussed Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, right? So that what we are saying, we need each other. The more we have, the more we shine. See, you are good at something, I am good at something, someone else is good at something. Everybody will contribute to the overall greatness of the society, right? The world will be less vibrant with less diversity. More diversity means more vibrancy, more creativity, more talent, lot of more things. Music, food, support systems, talent, skills, contributions, huge diversity. Yes, then so that is why current affairs are everyday appreciation of newspaper plus your static knowledge will give you that clarity. So refugee is everybody prepared for GS paper 3 internal security, but it came in GS paper 4. Now we have to write the ethical issues of sending back the Rohingyas. But you cannot say no, I prepared only for 3. You cannot write in 4, right? You have to, or else your competition will write and get good scores. So you'll be forced to write in ethics paper. How will you write Rohingyas about Rohingyas in paper number 4? That is creativity. Again, you can write that definitely. Okay, got the idea? Yes. Now, having discussed the papers, I'm not going to discuss case studies and all those things. Okay, so please remember, this is how UPSC real paper will be. This is essay copy, but this is GS copy. In GS paper, they will have a question and a limited space. So for a 10 marker, you have two pages. So on any given topic, if you have content to fill 2 pages or 150 words, your preparation is done. Yesterday you were asking a question, right? Like, when will we know that we have to stop? Okay. If I ask you a question to write about refugees or Rohingya issue, sir, I can fill 2 papers easily. Like, who are Rohingyas? What are the problems? What is Indian government stand? What should we do? Your job is done. Because even if you have 10 pages of data, you only have 2 pages to write. So why do you need more content? Right? That is a standard templatization of your preparation. That means whatever topic you prepare, for example, you must have seen a topic called as 1857, Modern Indian History, first chapter, 1857 revolt. Okay, the first mutiny or the Sipai mutiny. So what are the 3 questions that can come from Sipai mutiny? Why did Sipai mutiny happen? Okay, what are the reasons for failure or success of Sipai mutiny? Okay, what are the lessons that we can learn from Sipai mutiny? Right? So if you can write a 2-page answer on all these 3 topics, that chapter is done for you. Yes or no? If a different question comes, but it should come only from these 3 areas, right? Who participated, why it started, is it a success or a failure, what happened after 1857? Events, British became more aware, British has changed the laws, it has started mixing the army regiments, more British officers, railways has been laid so that movement can happen. So done. What else will you write? Okay, so that means everything you prepare from today should go in the lines of question and answer format. You read a newspaper, think of, okay, what is Anthropocene, what is climate change? I have some idea. Okay, if you are reading a chapter, read it in the format of questions. If you are reading for films, read the PYQs and then read the chapter. All right. So 1857 revolt chapter can be divided into 6 questions maximum. If you can answer all the 6 questions, that chapter is done for you. Okay, you don't even have to make notes. In your mind, you can make the notes. That structure will automatically come, right? What are the reasons for 1857 revolt? Religious reasons, agricultural reasons, taxation. Like this, you can even subcategorize, and automatically you will remember in a more structured way. Yes or no? What are the religious reasons? That Muslims did not like, pork, or the rumors that, the cartridge was filled with beef and pork fat. So one is against Indians, one is against the Muslims. So both of us did not like that. Then other reasons like that is one more reason. You can write like this. Pent of frustration, agriculture. Agriculture was failing. British was exposing more taxes, and many farmers' sons are working in army. They were able to connect, so on and so forth. The structuring will be there. So that is one thing. For a 15 marker, it will be like 2.5 pages. Let's say this is a 15 marker question. 1 page, 2 page, and 3 page. The extra one. Okay. More or less it's the same, right? But just extra 1 sheet. This half sheet you have to fill. Okay. So for 250 words, you have 3 sheets. For 150 words, you have 2 sheets. It's not a school exam, right? You have to fill the entire paper. No. If you have content, you fill it, or else happily fill the whatever you know. Don't bluff. So ultimately, your entire preparation of UPSC boils down to 2.5 sheets or 1.5 sheet, right? Front, back, and one side. Like 3 white papers. If you can fill on any given topic, either in optional or in GS, your preparation is done. You don't need to prepare more. You don't need to prepare less. If you can prepare in an optimal fashion, done. Okay, that is the objectivity. Now, for you to go back and understand how to fill this paper, you need to make notes in 1 page. What do I mean by making notes in 1 page? Say, let's say, what are the problems of women in India? Okay, if there are problems, there are solutions. Where does the solution come from? The solutions will come from constitution, government steps, then civil society steps. Okay, like this, you can create a template. almost all things in UPSC are linked directly or indirectly to the constitution. So if it is about women, security, economy or anything, is there a constitutional linkage? Then is there an act? Is there a scheme? Are there any steps taken by government? Okay, then what else is happening? Like this, if I have a 1-page notes, okay, and that too in keywords. Keywords means what? For example, under 1857, if I say, if we assuming you have read that chapter, if I say religious regions, didn't you recollect what are the religious regions? But what triggered you to recollect those points? The keyword that religious regions, agricultural regions. So in your notes, what should be the keywords? Religion, agriculture, taxation, subordination, mistreatment. Kind of mind map, but summarized notes. Okay. See, but it can be created very easily, and you can fold the A4 sheet also, right? All you have to write is in keywords, facts, and data. That's it. Revision will be very, very easy. But people make very, very lengthy notes, bulky notes, and all those things. That is why I said don't make until your second revision, irrespective of whatever the topic it is. Optional, GS, essay, ethics, whatever. You have to read it twice. Only then you can make notes in a keyword fashion. Okay. So ultimately, where do you stop preparing for any one particular topic? For example, freebies. How much data do you need for freebies? First of all, what is freebies? What is the definition of freebies? Freebies are good. Freebies are bad. Is there a better way? Then, if you can make this much amount of notes, then you can fill 250 words easily. Preparation is done. You move on to next topic. But the problem is people do PhD on freebies. I need a 10-page notes. I need to be as good as Amartya Sen. That is not your purpose. Your purpose is to be a journalist. A generalist will know something about everything. A specialist will know everything about something. So your job is to know something about everything. You should be able to talk about Kathakali, you should be able to talk about freebies, you should be able to talk about internal security, ethics, everything in 250 words. A jack of all trades, exactly right. You should be talking everything. At the same time, nobody expects depth from you, but minimum depth you can always have. So 250 words on any one topic, preparation is done. But for that to do, you need to understand syllabus copy and previous questions. The more you revise, the better it is for you to understand. Okay. So that is why again I'm repeating myself. Reverse engineer UPSC preparation by first understanding what is expected of you. You need to know whom or what you are going to war with. Okay. Then you need to understand what kind of defense tools I need. Then how are the questions framed? Prelims and mains. Then what is my syllabus copy? Then your boundaries are set. Then all you have to do is like hours. Close your eyes, sit in a room, lock yourself in a chair for 8 hours every day and read. If you read, even mountains will perish. If Lakshmikant is a mountain, it will go away one day. Economy, one day. Everything will go away one day. But whatever looks like Himalayas now can be easily conquered if you sit and read. The biggest problem is sitting in a chair for 8 hours and reading. Not continuously, but throughout the day, you need to take 8 hours and read every day consistently. Yes. Reading with intent is more important. We are in front of the book for 10 hours. Our mind is roaming here and there. Then your output is 2 hours. Your output should be 8. Then that is the day you will crack this. Okay. Unfortunately, our education system do not train you for all these things, right? Our colleges, graduation, we are not used to sitting 8 hours and reading focusedly. We don't know what is the meaning of focus. Everybody will say focus, 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 but we don't know how to focus. Yes. So first the thing you need to do is start getting used to sitting in a chair. That is first thing I have done. See, one of my doctor friend, he used to sit 10-12 hours easily. He got used from his graduation days, MBBS doctor, right? So, but for me, it was a very new thing. So the first thing I adapted is I will sit in a chair, whether I will sleep or read a book, novel or movie or watch whatever, but I first need to train my body to sit in a chair. So if you can train your body to sit in a chair for consistent amount of time, then slowly your patience levels will increase. Then your comfort will increase. Then you will start reading. It will improve into focus. Momentum can do magic. Yes or no? Just like the snowball effect, momentum can do magic. But for the momentum to happen, it will take time. So day one, I'm not expecting you to do miracles, but slowly move in that direction, step by step. First start sitting in the chair, then start reading, focus, then question yourself. The concept is called as active recall. You have read the architect amplification article, then close your eyes and try to recollect everything you have read. Or else, before sleep, or some people will do this, like you have read all the day, 9 to 10, 11 o'clock you will sleep, 9 to 10 you will try to recollect whatever you have read in that particular day. Or else the very next thing you do in the morning is recollect what you have read yesterday. So whatever works for you, that also helps a lot, right? And maintaining a journal also helps. So normally I suggest Excel sheets because it's easy to fill online, right? So if you can create an Excel sheet with the date, how many hours I have read, I can share a link with you if you need. So it will give you a history of your preparation. So 1 year down the line, if you go back and look why I failed or why I passed, it will give your life history, right? On day 14th, slept for 8 hours, watched a movie. Why? I read only for 2 hours, I watched more movies. So next day, it will act as an introspection. So you'll have an entire history of your preparation. Okay, that will act as a self-introspection, right? It's like, it not be public, it can be for your own eyes, but still it will help you. So this week, do you know how many hours you have read? In theory, right? Like you'll have a rough guess, but I have some students who are doing this. I can exactly open his Excel sheet and I can show you he read for 59 hours. Last week, he exactly read for 59 hours. And within that, I can tell how many hours he has spent on optional, how many hours he has spent on GS, how many hours he has spent on newspaper. So not only knowing that I have read 60 hours last week, I also know where I have spent. There is also a column which says, how many hours you have wasted on non-UPSC stuff. Like, talking to friends, not a crime. 1 hour is fine. 8 hours is too much, right? 8 hours of non-UPSC per day, right? So then he knows, Sarah also knows that he knows I can see that PDF, right? So he knows that he has wasted 40 hours on non-UPSC stuff, like watching YouTube, movies, parties, and all those things. Then that will put some shame in him. Okay, I need to work more hard. So ideally 8 hours means even for 6 days, Monday to Saturday also, you have to do 48 to 54 hours, something like that, right? So if you cross the 50-hour limit per week, then you are doing fantastically well. But the averages will come down to what? 4, 5 means 30, 35 is average. So every 20 hours you lose per week now will accumulate in the long run. And your is decided in how many hours in UPSC? 2 hours in prelims, 3 hours for essay, 2 plus 3, 5 hours, right? Then 12 hours of GS papers, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, 17 hours. Okay, and then 6 more hours of optional. Okay, so in less than 24 hours, your entire life is decided by UPSC and you are wasting 20 hours per week. Okay, so you can understand the importance of every hour, right, in the preparation in the long run. So empirical data have its own beauty. It will give you that introspection. It will give you that thought process. It's rational and it keeps you on check. Okay, so like this, there are a lot of tricks, tips, and suggestions to help you go in the right path. But again, who will walk that path? It's you, right? You have to walk. You have to sit and read the papers. You have to sit and read the syllabus copy. See, this is the third day. I don't know how many of you are sitting online or offline carrying the syllabus copy. Right? How many of you are reading syllabus copy? You don't understand the seriousness of that suggestion, right? Syllabus copy, where will it go? It is there from 2013. It will be there till 2024. It won't go anywhere, but it should be in your brain. It helps you filter the topics. It helps you propel like anything. So this is what we call as a smart preparation. I hope you understood. Yes. So start doing all these things immediately. Start reading NCERTs. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can always talk to me.
Only question is that, sir, I'm a beginner.
Hmm.
To me, everything looks like gigantic ocean, and I don't know in which direction I'm going. I don't even know when I'll reach the shore, and that's why it's a bit overwhelming if I'm reading the right stuff or not. That's what I tried to ask yesterday also. It was interpreted in the wrong way, I guess. So
It came out wrong,
maybe.
right? So the thing is, there is a concept called as FOMO, fear of missing out, right? FOMO. If I don't read this article, if I don't read this book, okay, what will happen? What if the question comes from this? Okay, so that is the most common understanding. As I said, UPSC can be prepared in layers. My simple explanation to that is Pareto optimality. Okay, these things will become very familiar one day. So there is a Pareto optimality. You must have heard about it, like 80-20 principle. 20% of your efforts will get you 80% of the scores. In life, in reality, in anywhere also, only 20% of your efforts will get you 80% of the scores. Let's imagine Amazon have 100 companies, 100 subdivisions. Only 20 subdivisions are making 80% of the revenue. The rest are all being maintained. Okay. The same way in UPSC, if you read 20 right chapters in that particular subject, 80% of the questions will come from that area. The rest 80% chapters are useless, are not so important. For example, fundamental rights, DPSP, constitutional bodies, okay, parliament chapter, etc. Like this 7 or 8 chapters will be there. If you master these subjects, 80% of the questions will come only from these areas. But student will start treating all the 77 chapters in Lakshmikant as equal. So that will never go away, right? So you'll always think, sir, the 77 questions, 77 chapters are there, but you're talking only about 4 or 5 important chapters. But what if the question comes from this?
No. How would I know? Like, how can I differentiate like which is different?
That is exactly what I told you, right? That is, I have already given you the answer. If you implement it, you will know it, right? At the moment you start opening quality previous year questions, both in prelims and mains, you will see the repeated questions: fundamental rights, fundamental rights, fundamental rights, fundamental rights. Like literally, you'll be burned, irritated. Like how many fundamental rights questions can be there? Okay, but in spite of no matter how many times you read, still you will get them wrong. So UPSC need not even ask questions from the rest 70 chapters. All it has to do is keep repeating the same themes also. Still people are not getting good scores. And the irony is cutoffs are getting lower. There was a time where cutoff was 109. There is a time now where cutoff is 89. With increased wisdom, scores are coming down. Okay, why? Too much information. You have too much information, right? Instead of reading Lakshmikant and these 8 chapters perfectly, student have time to read Telegram channels, WhatsApp messages, lot of things. So I am happy that people are distracted. Why? The genuine ones will always clear. The genuine ones are the ones who will follow this simple schedule, simple strategy. They will clear. Then when you are happily distracted, who am I to stop you? Right? So as I keep saying, failure is a default setting in UPSC. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is sit there and failure will come and meet you. Okay. Yes. 20% effort will get you 80% of the marks. Trust me, it works in every stage, either prelims, mains, or interview. So, sir, if everybody knows this, at least most mentors will know this, right? Then why are students still not clearing? The problem is, as I said, lack of trust is first thing. Second thing is lack of patience. This is what I call as core of the core. Okay, the 20 most important chapters or 20% syllabus, whatever it is, are the core. Okay, the rest is 80%. First, you cover core of the core. Your confidence will boost like anything. You solve the questions from those areas. Then you go to the rest of the 80% syllabus. Okay, but 3 questions will come from this area. Let's say 15 questions will come from this area. Student will think that, because of these 3 things I have failed, and he will start spending too much time on the rest of the things. But actually he failed because out of the 15 most expected obvious questions, he's supposed to get all the 15 correct, but here he got only 12 correct. He actually failed because of these 3 questions, not these 3. Because this is a bouncer, this is an ocean. Out of 70 chapters, I can ask from any corner. You don't know, it's not your fault. Okay, but if you got something wrong from fundamental rights or constitutional bodies or parliament chapter, 100% your fault. Why? A senior will never get these questions wrong. He will always get these questions correct. Well, as a fresher, he will focus on these 3 questions, the extra, the masala. He's more bothered about the chutney rather than the dosa. Okay, so that is why people fail. So if you take the mains or prelims previous year questions and understand the topics, then you will know what to read exactly. Okay, and I can bet in India there are less than 2,500 students who will actually read all the previous year questions, who are writing prelims or mains. Very few people will do this actually. They don't have time. Why? Sir, new material. Everybody is reading that new shiny material. I don't have time to Lakshmikant. So this actually works. Again, 1 year down the line, when you write prelims, meet me. I can prove you with empirical data. Yes, I was right. Okay, but you need to have that patience, confidence, and trust that I need to focus on the 20% syllabus, not chapters. 20% of the syllabus. This will vary from subject to subject. For art and culture, it is different. For Lakshmikant, it is different. But this 20% will not change. For mains also, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS paper 1, GS paper 4, there is a 20% strategy. Right? People don't write. If I know 10 students who are writing mains, 9 out of them don't even complete the entire test series. They pay 25,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees to join the test series, but not all the 10 tests or 12 tests are written by students. They will write 6 to 8 max. Very few people will actually complete the entire test series. That is how difficult it is. 12 3s are 36, right? Okay, so they have to spend 36 hours in their entire 100 days period, but still they find it very difficult to manage. Okay, so hours are very, very important in UPSC if you understand their importance. Okay, so core, focus on core of the core. Core of the core can easily be identified through previous questions. Master PYQs, master both prelims and mains questions. You will not have any doubts.
Should we directly jump into PYQs before NCRTs?
Keep looking at them. That is what I told you, right? You don't need to know the answers of the previous year questions. You need to know them, that this is a question. Next time if you see Great Indian Bustard, you should tell me, sir, it was a PYQ. What will your brain do? It will prioritize Great Indian Bustard, right? Next time if you see localization, don't you think you'll remember? The same with category or cave of allegory. You will remember, okay, this can be used in essay. How do you know that? Because at least you know that there is a question. I haven't asked the answer for your essay topics, right? I showed you 8 essays. Did I ask you answers? No. I wanted you to remember those essays. Why? Next time when you see perception, reality, at least your brain will say this kind of stupidity can come in essay. Your brain will remind you, prioritize. So it is, yeah, it is filtering out the 80. It is asking you to focus on the 20. So that is indirectly what we are doing. We did discuss every article line by line in the newspaper, but don't you feel you have learned a lot? So where did that knowledge come from? In the entire article of Salman Rushdie, I focused on one word and I discussed for 20 minutes. So if you know where to focus, automatically your growth will be there. If you read the entire article but miss that one word, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever.
Yes.
Okay. Syllabus copy PYQ. Read them like Bhagavad Gita or Hanuman Chalisa. I don't know how many of you read Hanuman Chalisa, but if you read Hanuman Chalisa, you may not know the meaning, right? 100%. I don't know, at least. Okay. You may know, you might be enlightened. Okay. So if I don't know, I'm still reading it for the sake of reading it, right? Just like the same thing, read syllabus copy, previous year questions. You don't need to know the answers. Don't look at the answers also. The moment you see albedo is a previous year question. Constitutional bench, previous year question. Constitutional morality. Next time when I use that word, your brain will say 2021 GS paper 2 first question. What is constitutional morality? Give some examples. Oh, I need to be more alert. That is the purpose. Okay. So again, saying is easy. Yes. Maya. Everything is Maya. Okay. So any questions?
Along with CYQs, what parallelly can I start in NCRTs?
You can start reading NCRTs. See, again, it depends on your aptitude. Like, for example, if you're very comfortable in reading NCRTs, you can start them parallelly every 2 hours or 3 hours a day, something like that.
Questions and any exercise to do in advance means how to understand the question in the first place itself.
Means?
Not even, but to understand the philosophical, any books to refer or
you need to complete the syllabus, right? As I said, ethics syllabus. First of all, you need to complete the ethics syllabus in totality. Only then you'll understand.
We didn't really understand in what perception he asked that question and in what perception we are receiving.
That comes with practice, right? That is why I told you. When did I say answer writing should be started? If you remember my earlier class, there was a huge way, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't go to Tirupati Balaji directly, right? You go to bus stand, then walk, then the toothpaste. First fill the toothpaste, automatically you'll understand them. So again, these things did not come to us easily, right? Even we have to go through a lot of stuff. It took ages for us to understand the demand. We can shorten that time. You don't have to invest 6 years. I am asking you to invest 6 months. Again, understand, really smart people will also prepare for this exam. We are competing with the smartest of the cream, smartest of the smart. So we have to upgrade our games, thought process. We cannot solve UPSC as a problem with the same mindset that we entered with. You came from different backgrounds, different education. Maybe your family have someone from bureaucratic lines. They guided you. They haven't guided you. You haven't never read Hindu newspaper till now. Now suddenly you came to UPSC. So you cannot compete with some like IRS son. IRS must have groomed his son or daughter from day one on how to become an IAS officer. You cannot compete with her overnight, but you can definitely compete with her, beat her if possible. But that path has to be understood, right? Yes. So don't compare yourself with seniors or anyone else, or even with me or anything in that case, not even UPSC, but slowly we will reach there. Basics are everything. Trust me, one day when you are so good in your basics, like in prelims static wise, that is the day where UPSC will be like cakewalk for you. But if your basics are weak, if your static have holes, then there is nothing even God can do. Static is everything. Static is like the ultimate goal. Master static through previous year questions at basic level, then automatically everything else will make sense. And unlike school exam or college exam, no single subject will be understood by you in the very first go. You have to go through it multiple times. Teacher will teach you, you will understand, you will forget, again you will read, something will come back, second revision, something more will come back, third revision, you will actually start making sense. So this is a process, not a school, right? Don't think that UPSC coaching is like spoon feeding. Even the best of the best teachers in India cannot also spoon feed you. Why? The exam's nature is to make you think. So when the nature is made to make you think, what should be developed? How to think. Got it? Anything else? Varun? Varun, right? Yes. Any questions?
It's totally Greek and Latin, sir.
Yeah, that's good.
Honesty. Best class.
Actually, sir, I have completed my degree
Last month.
so I have written yesterday PG entrance.
Okay.
So I'm planning to learn parallelly along with PG. Even last admission scheme, sir invited for interview, and we have discussed financial problems with us, sir. So we have decided to stay calm this year, and from next year to join coaching. Again, sir messaged and he invited to join classes. We will see some scholarship programs.
Okay. Again, see, if the long term goal is UPSC, you have to start one day, right? It doesn't matter which this year or next year. But as you said, Greek and Latin has to convert into English. It will take time, right? So slowly, keep reading every day, and one day, it will start making sense. Yes. Everybody goes through this. Anudip Durisetti, Tina Dabi, Kanishk Kataria, everybody must have gone through the same cycle. Everybody will find it, like an ocean. It is very idiotic. We are not even understanding what is happening so vast.
It's not like an ocean, sir. It's like a river only, but I'm afraid of water.
Water, exactly. Good. Nice. So don't worry, keep reading and it will make sense. But you have to put some efforts. And it's like rocket, right? The initial friction will be there. We try to avoid that friction, but once you cross that point, automatically everything will become easy. So again, I am on Telegram. If you are on Telegram, my username is Kalyans _Z. If you have anything, you can message me on Telegram. I will respond when time permits. Right? Yeah. If you don't have any questions, I will end the session here. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Nothing? Raja? Anything? No?
Not all at a time.
Not all at one time. Okay. Online? Anyone?
Sir, hello.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Sir, you have shared us the document, no, sir. Like you have presented the document of answer writing. Can we also have that, sir?
This one?
Yes, sir.
The specimen one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the questions and the specimen PDF, right? Yeah, I will share it. I will share it with Vijay sir. He will share it with you, right? I don't have
Okay, sir.
access. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. By the way, it's available on UPSC official website also.
Sir,
Just
is it the previous question? Previous 2020.
Specimen copy. It is under the section examinations in UPSC official website. Specimen copy. The copies are available. Question papers are available in previous year questions.
Okay.
But I will share it. Nonetheless, I will share. You can message my Telegram if you are unable to find it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, also, what will be the next class for, like you said, you'll be sharing us the one-word questions, no, sir, for newspaper analysis.
Okay.
So for tomorrow and after tomorrow, like upcoming days, like how should we?
Yeah, again,
like
as
how
I
will
said,
we get?
read newspaper on a daily basis. Okay. So there must be a group or something or for your batch, right? I will share the PDF in that group.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Anything else? Okay, then see you all on Monday.